You're listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 121. Do you feel disorganized? Do you struggle staying on top of things? Do you want to scale your business but don't quite feel ready to take on more? Then you're in the right place. Today we are chatting about how we can create an operational foundation by creating systems in our business and implementing technology to increase efficiency and productivity. Tune in as I nerd out with my guest on processes, automation, and online apps. You're going to love this one. Hey there, I'm your host, Jessica Fergon, and I am passionate about doing the inner work needed to reach your goals. Let me be your guide as we navigate all the fears and insecurities that surface when it's time to step outside of your comfort zone. Along with my knowledgeable guests and industry experts, I'm here to teach you how to reawaken your life purpose and passion and create the steps to turn your intentions into action. Ultimately, my goal is to empower you to rise above those blocks holding you back and start living a life that you are worthy and deserving of. So come on, it's time to slow down, find a comfy spot with your favorite organic tea, and get inspired. Thank you for tuning in to the Love Unplugged podcast. Hello, loves. Today I am joined by the lovely Ellie Rogers, online business manager extraordinaire with an international corporate career, a master's degree in business, and a passion for supporting female entrepreneurs in the online space. Ellie started Ellie OBM with all the things in mind and with the vision of providing professional services to inspiring women across the world. Ellie is passionate about providing expert support to the women who inspire her and to help them scale sustainably to multiple six-figure and seven-figure businesses. So welcome, Ellie. I am just so honored to have you as my guest. I'm so excited to learn all about your story, your advice. But before we start, for those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to share a little bit more about you personally.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. So just in terms of who I am, you've already given me a very good intro. My name's Ellie, and like you said, I'm an OBM or online business manager. And that essentially means that I help, like you said, online business owners, entrepreneurs build out their businesses from an operational perspective. I help them really create a space for them to scale sustainably without them having to kind of lose their heads over all of the different processes, team members, things to do. So I kind of just manage the day-to-day operations. So I am from the UK, you might be able to tell from my accent, and I'm currently based in Lisbon, Portugal. So pretty much that's me in a little box. I have been working as kind of a digital nomad for the past year, really, ever since leaving Oman in the Middle East, where I was based with my corporate career. So yeah, loving life in Lisbon, Portugal, despite the COVID situation, and just very thankful to be able to kind of pretty much work from anywhere at the moment.
That is the dream. And I'm like, oh, that must be so incredible right now to be in Lisbon.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we are, like I'm sure so many other European countries and countries worldwide, there is a lockdown on. So there's only so much that we can do. But still, I mean, lockdown anywhere, if you're going to do it, you may as well do it in like a beautiful European city, right?
Yes, 100%. All right, so I want to dive into your own personal journey before we get into exactly what you do. So what was your journey leading up to starting your own business? Did you always have this idea that you wanted to have your own business and be an entrepreneur when you were in the corporate world?
So I guess, like many people, I idealize the idea of being an entrepreneur. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Both my parents have their own businesses. But I guess I didn't really ever know the route to doing that, right? I wanted to have this like freedom lifestyle. And I always knew in some sense that I was going to have this kind of like success, whether that be in my corporate career, or whether that would be, eventually starting my own business one day. But I was working as a project manager in the defense industry for a couple of years before moving to Oman, where I still did that. And then I got headhunted by an Omani company over there to work with a large kind of events company. We had a big events company, and I worked as a project manager and executive there for just over a year before I left and started my own business on the side. So, I always had this vision of being an entrepreneur, but it wasn't until I saw some people who actually were living in Bali, in Thailand, and I was like, how do these people do it, right? How do these people just casually move across the world? How do they make money? And I asked one of my friends who was over there, I was like, what do you do? How do you, survive essentially? And she said, lots of my friends work as virtual assistants. They work online. So I'd never heard the term virtual assistant before. So I kind of did some research and discovered what the term online business manager was, which is essentially, supporting, like I said earlier, and supporting businesses in their growth to, creating a sustainable, scalable business and managing the operations. So that's when kind of the term OBM stuck. I was doing that alongside my corporate career for about 6 months. So it's some very early mornings and very late nights before I kind of handed in my notice and went full time in the OBM world.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you were doing some online research.
Mhm.
You found a virtual assistant, you found online business manager. Did you have any idea what an online business manager even did? Like, I know you were a project manager, which
Mhm.
I was too in my corporate career as well. Is that different than what you thought an online business manager did?
To be quite honest with you, Jessica, they're both very, very similar, right? So in a project management role, you're still managing, scope, deliverables, different team members. You've got to make sure that everything meets the right deadline, all of that kind of good stuff. As an online business manager, it's essentially the same thing, apart from instead of just managing individual projects, even, whether those be large, small in the corporate world, you're essentially managing all of the different projects that form part of someone's online business. So that could be anything from a big launch, launching a mastermind, a new course, that could be onboarding new team members, that could even just be like run of the mill, making sure that team members are hitting their KPIs and making sure that team members are kind of ticking off all of the daily operational tasks within the business. So, some of the elements of a project manager are still there, but it's just within the kind of sphere of the online business world, essentially.
Gotcha. Did you have to take any certification?
So I did. There's actually a certified OBM certification that I took, but you don't necessarily have to. I actually have a course for online business managers, and some of them have been through the certification themselves,
Hmm.
but some of them come from, as myself, yourself, come from project management careers in the corporate world, or who have worked as virtual assistants for a long time and realised that they kind of wanted to level up a little bit further.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I'd love to have a further understanding of
Mhm.
exactly what an OBM does to support businesses and their entrepreneurs. Like, are you just managing it from a high level perspective, or do you also get in there and do some of the work? Like, what can a client actually expect from working with you? Especially for those listening that are like, an OBM, maybe I need that. What exactly do they do?
Yeah, and I love this question because I think it really depends where you're at in your OBM journey, or even what you like or want to do, right? So when I first started, I did a lot of the doing. I did a lot of the on the ground stuff because, as with any of the managers I've had, or even myself when I had like a small team, I would, the people I idolized in my corporate career were those people who actually not only just told you what to do, but like kind of knew how to do it as well, and who had insights to give you on how to really make that process better, easier, simpler. So I started off and I did a lot of the doing for the people I was working with. And that enabled me to actually get the skills to know how to do the things, right? But now I'm further along in my OBM journey. I do typically work with clients who have a small team already, a couple of virtual assistants who are more like on the ground doing the things, perhaps even like tech VAs or other sales team members. But there's no right or wrong path for how an OBM will work. Really depends. Some OBMs do love doing the nitty gritty and doing all the doing, but typically I would say that online business managers are also there to make sure that things are running from an operational perspective very smoothly. So the processes are in place, the systems are working to a T, the different team members are working appropriately and to the right standard quality. And really, the entrepreneurs and business owners feel supported. And I think that's the biggest thing that an online business manager can really come in to help with. It's like, I'm sure you know as well, the online business world, it can be quite lonely at times. And these entrepreneurs, these business owners feel as though they're just kind of like steering the ship on their own. They're doing all the things on their own. They're just telling telling their team members to do the things. And an online business manager comes in and they're essentially the filter between them and like all the noise in their business. And they're there to really like prop them up and be like, what can I do to support you? What can we do to make your business continually grow sustainably without you having to run like your hours and run your day to the ground? So that, I would say, is the biggest, I'd call it like a soft ROI, a soft return on investment, because it's just like that support that you can't tangibly measure, but it's so important for many of the clients that I work with.
Yeah, and I can definitely attest to the fact that, running an online business is lonely.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah, for
really is,
sure.
especially with COVID and everybody's having to work remote and you can't get together with your teams anymore. Like it's like next level lonely, I'm sure, for others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like the kind of co-working spaces are closed. So I think it's universally felt by everyone. And yeah, so it's just kind of amplified how difficult running a small business or any kind of business can be. So really that's, I'd like to consider many of my clients as friends as well. So coming in to support them in their business is really, it is a dream come true in that sense.
Awesome. Now, when somebody wants to work with you, what does that onboarding experience look like? Like, how do you get to know their business so that you know what to do?
Yeah. So that is quite a rigorous, so we have that, the first discovery call to see if we're the right fit, not only for them asking if I'm going to be the right fit, but them, making sure they're the right fit for how I work and the kind of businesses that I like to work with too. So once we've done all of that, there's an in-depth questionnaire where I essentially dive into every single aspect of their business from their perspective. So they'll answer all those questions. We'll then have a strategy session, like a kickoff session, where again, we'll be going through those questionnaire responses. We'll create a 90-day plan of action together. So every 30 days, what do we want to be ticking off? What launches do you have upcoming? Do you need to expand your team further? What systems do you have in place? So that's something that we'll map out over the course of the 90 days. And then pretty much one of the first things that I do, and I do build it into those 90 days, is a full business system audit. So that's me going in there and just exploring what the business looks like, what tech platforms do they have in place, how do the different teams members communicate. It's just a quick way for me to like get up to speed in the business. And yeah, I mean, there is a lot of getting up to speed, as I like to call it, with my clients. Like there's a lot of me getting to know how they've run their businesses, especially if they've been doing them for like multiple years, 5, 6, 7 years. There's so much that they know that's in their head. So there is a process of like extraction and me getting to know how things work in their business as well. I've made that sound very clinical, extraction, but like there's a process of me getting to know how things run in their business, right?
Yeah, totally. Now, what kind of systems can businesses put into place so that they are the most effective? Like based on your experience, everything that you're doing with your clients, what do you generally see?
So I think it really depends where they're at in their business journey. But it's not necessarily the type of systems, but rather actually just having systems in the first place. And I think oftentimes we confuse the word systems and we think that that means like tech systems like ClickUp or Dubsado or, whatever. But that's not necessarily true. And systems can be as simple as just writing out what you do, right? So if you were to start working with a new client, how do you work with them? What's your process for onboarding them? What's your process for extracting that knowledge and really kicking off your relationship? And those are the kind of systems that oftentimes are lacking in some businesses that I go into. It's that step by step. And mapping that out for like everything that you do in your business is going to be a massive, massive help, because anytime you choose to onboard a new team member or change the way you do something, you can just go back to that piece of paper, that Google document that you've got written how you onboard someone or how you write a blog post. So I think it's not necessarily the type of system, rather just documenting things as much as you can within your business. And that in itself will create a level of effectiveness that might not be evident at first because you're like, okay, I'm just writing things down. But it will become so apparent when you decide to onboard a new team member or even just make some slight alterations to the way your business runs, because it's just documented, right? It's just there for you to, you're removing that sense of trying to remember what you do because it's just written down. And the way our brains function, either we are geared towards recalling things, so remembering things, or creating things. So the fewer amount of things we have to remember, the more space we have to create and come up with these amazing ideas. So if you have everything you do in your business written down in Google Documents or written down in your project management tool, your brain literally has more space to come up with your next creative idea.
100%. And I 100 and billion% agree that you absolutely do need to write things down. Like, this is what I do in my corporate job is
Yeah.
you outline every single process. And then from there, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's written down. Anybody can come
Exactly.
in and do it. And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry that something's being missed because you forgot it. And then it just opens the door for you to look at your processes and be like, what can I automate?
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're speaking my love language right now. And I think that's really as simple as it needs to be at first. It's literally just writing things down. And you don't need to overcomplicate the way that you do that. You just think about from start to end, how do you do that thing in your business? And yeah, it can help you on a bad day. We're not always 100% all the time. If you're not feeling well or, you're just having a lazy day, you can just look at your document or you can just hand it over to a team member to do, and it just makes it so much simpler. And yeah, again, speaking my love language when you start talking about automations, because that's where it gets interesting.
I know. I think we're like two of a kind here.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone else listening is going to be like, oh my gosh, they're just like nerding out over
I
systems.
know. I know. I'm constantly looking at ways. I'm like, how can I automate that? How can I make that
Yeah.
like a quick part in an email so I never have to type it again? How can I put a
Yes.
system in place to like automatically generate that?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about technology now.
hmm
So we understand that systems doesn't always just relate to the tech piece,
hmm
it's processes as well, it's the
Yeah.
whole thing as a whole. But when you get down to the technology piece, when you're looking at your clients' businesses, what types of technology do you use or do you suggest that can free up our time to focus on activities that actually move the needle forward in our business?
Oh, yes, I love this question. And so, kind of bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier on, writing everything down, that's the first part of it all, right? Like you've just said, you write it down and then you look at that process and you're like, okay, I'm doing like 5 things manually here. There must be something that I can do, like you said, to make that process easier. And that's where the technology systems come in to really support us. And it kind of just removes you having to repeat tasks or removes you having to remember to do things because you've got them on reoccurring or you've got them on, automatically generating within your inbox, within the onboarding process. So one of my favorite things is Zapier, and Zapier is like, so essentially it's a third party API integrating tool, and it connects point A to point B. And when I say point A, point B, I mean different platforms, different technologies. And it sounds super confusing, but I just try to bring it back to there's a trigger and there's an action. So something will trigger, and as a result, something will happen. And this is a really great tool to leverage when it comes to freeing up your time, and actually, like you said, help you focus on other really important needle moving things. So onboarding, for example. Now, if someone was to pay for my one-on-one mentoring or one-on-one OBM services, they automatically get sent everything they need. They automatically get sent the contract. They automatically get sent that first welcome email. They automatically get sent the kickoff call scheduler link. Like everything gets sorted and I don't even have to lift a finger. The only thing that a member of my team will actually need to do is just double check and verify. So they'll need to make sure that all of that has happened, and then they'll just need to go onto a link and order a gift for them. And that doesn't get done manually because they choose gifts based on their like personality, branding, and all of that kind of stuff. But it removes what could otherwise be an hour of my time or an hour of my team's time because everything is automated. And that extra hour, if you think about it in terms of the time that I charge out to my clients per hour, that's now in my pocket. That's time that I can sell to someone else, or that's time that I can actually focus on creating a new course or creating a new service. And those are the needle moving things that have been unlocked just by that 1 hour. Equally, that could be an hour that I chill or go for a walk or do something that kind of feeds back that creativity to me. And that in itself is almost like a needle moving activity because that's giving me back that creative headspace. But, that technology, as simple as it may be, just to connect point A and point B, you are removing so much manual time. And that's really where the power of technology helps, leverage your time and your business even further.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think? What are your thoughts on CRMs? Are they important in
Mm-hmm.
business? Is that are there certain applications online
Mm-hmm.
that you feel like clients should just always have, like a messaging system like Slack, or,
Yes.
a CRM
Mm-hmm.
like Pipedrive, or
Mm-hmm.
another type of CRM or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically the businesses I work with, Dubsado is perfect. So Dubsado is kind of, I think, like Pipedrive that you've just mentioned. It essentially moves people through the whole application process, the whole contract signature process. It's a really fantastic tool and it allows you to understand where people are at different phases of their business journey with you, whether they are just applying or whether they've gone right through to application. So that is a really fantastic tool to use. Communication, Slack. I love it. Team communication, team hub. It's a great place to build a good team culture as well as just make sure that you're kind of like staying in contact with each other. And then project management tools. Now, ClickUp is my go-to. My life, my business is in ClickUp. If you need a link, it's there. If you need to know what my brand colors are, it's there. If you need a team numbers, email address, it's there. I pretty much have everything I need within ClickUp. And that in itself removes that extra thought that you have to put into finding things within your business. And same for my different team members. So those would be the three kind of big tools that I would recommend. I also love email marketing. And for that, I would recommend something like Active Campaign, but it's not necessary. There are free ones such as MailerLite that are equally as good, especially as you're growing your business.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to look up ClickUp because I've never heard of that one. I use Notion myself.
Got you. Yeah, it's similar to Notion. Notion, to my understanding, is it's very visual in the sense that you've got loads of space to kind of like create and draw and type and stuff in there. ClickUp is a little bit like Asana, if you've heard of Asana. Oh, it's amazing. You would love it, Jessica. It's so good. And you can embed, spreadsheets into there. You can embed Spotify playlists. You can create dashboard for your clients. It's really, really cool.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. And I definitely agree with Slack. Slack is like the best tool for communication. You can
Yeah,
create channels based on certain topics,
yeah,
and everything is like organized by that. And just like the video chats,
absolutely.
like it's wonderful.
Yeah, and again, it removes that like the extra thought that you have to give to things, right? If your Zoom link is always in Slack, no one has to find it. It's just there. You can conduct Zoom meetings right from Slack. So definitely agree.
Exactly.
Creating different channels, like channels for your inbox, channels for different clients. That way, if any of your team have got questions about something related to the inbox, they just pop it in that channel so that you're not, cross communicating. So it just keeps it super simple.
Exactly. We have this one function in my day job where our CRM is linked to Slack. And
Mm.
every time that a deal is won, like a client is closed or something like that, it sends like a notification to a specific channel in Slack where everybody gets to celebrate the team, because often as entrepreneurs, we often forget to celebrate our wins, our accomplishments, and things like that. So it's just like that reminder that like we just won something, like
Yes.
let's all celebrate each other.
I love that so much. Yeah, and that's going back to to Zapier. Like you can connect Slack and your payment processor, Slack and your CRM. So like you said, celebrating those wins is made so much easier, and also team transparency, right? There's no in corporate, and I'm sure you can agree, oftentimes the departments are so siloed that if the sales team were to win something, perhaps the people at operational level wouldn't even know about it. But something like Slack can really bring the whole team together and help everyone to celebrate things happening within different departments, within things happening within different people's lives or whatever. So it's a really great kind of connector of people as well.
100%. It's so true in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Departments have no idea
No.
what
It's like, who's that person? What do they do?
they work here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So, what is the key when setting up your business to grow and scale? Like, what do you suggest when people are looking to take that next step?
Yeah. So I think there's definitely a huge piece around those systems. I think that comes at whatever stage you are in business, like writing those down, getting clear about how they work and automating where possible. That's going to be a really big key, whether you're just starting out or whether you're like years into your business. And that will kind of unlock the next part, which is, you know, outsourcing work. And that outsourcing piece will be facilitated and made easier with the systems and the processes. So, like I said earlier on, that extra hour, what does that mean for me in terms of money? If I were to sell that hour to a client, how much could I generate? And that is really what you're going to be able to do when you start outsourcing as well. Because every task that you're taking off your chest, off your shoulders, sorry, and you're giving to a different team member, it's time that you're getting back to do those CEO things, to do those really big, creative, needle moving, money making activities. So I think that will be another piece. And of course, there are so many mindset and, all of those different other things that form part of scaling and growing your business. But systems and outsourcing are two really big ones. And that has been the really, I suppose, a large part of what the majority of my clients who are at multiple seven figures have really leveraged is systems and team.
So, based on your experience working with all these clients, are there certain things that you have commonly seen being done in business that are actually hurting their businesses from growing, achieving their goals and their vision?
Oh, this is a good one. It's also a hard one, but I think I mean, I'm no mindset expert and I'm not going to pretend to be, but I do think that that mindset piece can hold a lot of people back, especially when it comes to taking action, right? Some of
Mhm.
the most successful people I've worked with are the ones who've got an idea, who have something's cropped up and they're like, right, I'm just going to take action on it. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to do it, whether that be outsourcing to a new team member, whether that be putting in place a new program that they have. So I think not taking action is probably one of the biggest things that is like stopping businesses from growing, achieving their goals. Doubting yourself, which of course comes from a mindset piece, and not believing in your own potential, and always seeing roadblocks, because there are always going to be things that could potentially stop us. But I'm just talking for myself here. The reason why I've been able to scale to six figures in my first 6 months of going all in my business without a full-time job is because I've just taken action. I've just done it. I've just put in the work. And I think, yeah, people who are unable to move past that are the ones who are probably blocked by their own mindset limitations, I would suggest.
Yeah, because I mean, you can do the work, right? Like anybody can learn anything new.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the mindset stuff, like that is truly what is going to hold you back. And I feel like even in my own experience, when you're starting a business, you have to also align that with the journey of personal growth. You
Yeah.
have to do the inner work to be able to continue to up level and to go to that next stage
Yeah.
in your business.
Absolutely. And, I talk so much about strategies and systems, and I do believe that that has a really, really core part to play in scaling a business, because it will facilitate anything that comes your way. It will facilitate the completion of a project. It will facilitate onboarding new team members. It will facilitate the financial revenue growth. But again, like you said, like that inner work, the personal growth that happens alongside creating a business, that's going to be the true key to unlocking like the next level potential. And that is really, that's really the difference between the people who, at every stage of our business, and it's not necessarily a difference between, it's that's what's going to unlock the next level, is unlocking a next level of yourself as well.
100%. Now, I'd love to learn more about your own personal
Mm-hmm.
experience, leaving that corporate career
Yeah.
and going full time with this business. What was your process like? What was your experience like so that you're able to grow and scale this business to where it's at today?
Yeah. Um, to be honest with you, at first there was just a lot of hard work, and I don't know if that's what people actually even like to hear. There was no real magic formula at first. I was working long hours during my corporate job, and I was also working with several clients internationally, in my OBM business, and that meant very early mornings. That meant weekend work. That meant late evenings. Um, and yeah, that was really hard work, but during the whole time that I was doing that, I was documenting everything that I was doing. I was finding quicker, better ways of doing it each time. So that was one part of it. The second part of it, was creating good quality work and really supporting and loving what I do with my clients. And that in and of itself gave me a good, dare I say, reputation, a good, standard of work that I became known for in my industry. So people kept on coming back for more, people kept on referring me, and that really enabled me to, yeah, have just a good lead generation strategy, I suppose, in place through a referral network, through a referral system, which again in itself enabled me to grow my reputation continuously. And then from there, I found that a lot of other online business managers really wanted to know how I was doing it and how I had done it in such a short period of time. And of course, it does come from, experience working in corporate, my master's degree in business. Yes, that does have an impact on the skills that I have. But again, a lot of it has been just like putting in the work, and taking action. So from there, I was also able to support other online business managers and other people who are wanting to start up their OBM business, in various different courses and mentorship programs as well. So that has enabled me to kind of have a different branch to my business. Not only do I have the execution part where I'm in my clients' businesses, multi 6, 7 figure, entrepreneurs, supporting them, supporting their operations, but also the education branch of my business where I'm able to upskill other online business managers to go out and do, wonderful things with their clients as well.
Gotcha. Now, throughout that process, what have been your biggest learnings and your biggest wins as an entrepreneur and business owner?
Biggest, okay, I'm going to start with biggest wins because there've also been some many learnings, but biggest wins has been, setting up that education side. I loved it so much more than I ever thought I would. Supporting and teaching other online business managers is just like something that has unlocked, this love for coaching inside of me. And that's been a really, really big win. Of course, there's the financial and the operational wins that come alongside that. Huge. My first ever launch was, I think it was like $47,000, which was really, really big, and that was all through email marketing. That was hardly any on the front end of my social media. So I was really chuffed, really happy with that. So that's a big win. And learnings, I think, as a result of all of those different things, and as a result of the wins as well, it's okay to do things your way. I think that's probably my biggest learning is, there are so many people in the online space, in your online bubble. And I will refer to it as a bubble because sometimes it does feel like it's just a bubble of people that you are continuously seeing the same of in the online space. But there's always going to be people doing similar things to you out there. There's always going to be people who are doing something that you thought you wanted to do or did want to do, but it's absolutely okay to take your own route. It's absolutely okay to do things your own way, and at your own pace. If someone's doing something faster than you, that doesn't mean that they're better than you or they've got something that you don't have. It just means that they're on their own path and you're on yours. And that's been something that I struggled with at first. And it's definitely been a big learning curve, and something that I'm really comfortable with now.
Amazing. Those are quite amazing wins and learnings.
Thank you.
I love that. And I love that you said that, it's okay to do it your way,
Yeah.
because that's so true, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially online, you kind of get stuck in looking at what everybody else is doing and thinking that you should be doing it the way that others are doing it. But that's not true. You need to stay true to how you work and what works best for you and the way that you approach things and, your vision for things.
Yeah, exactly. Because, at the end of the day, like we've both just said, there's always going to be the same. You're going to see the same thing, the same type of course, the same type of coaching everywhere. But what you bring to the table is going to be different to the person next to you, irregardless of whether or not the course or the coaching program is very similar in and of itself. Your unique selling point is always going to be you. And that's why it's so important to display your true and authentic self in everything that you do as well.
People connect with people, people buy from people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why the online space is, yes, it can feel like a bubble sometimes, but also it's this amazing amalgamation of people just rocking it and just doing their thing and just being themselves. And that's really cool. And I remember when I first started, members of my family were like, "Oh, Ellie, it's a bit unprofessional that you're, wearing this like skimpy little dress or like skimpy little top where you've got your shoulders out or something online." I was like, "Yeah, but it's what I wear normally. Why would I not just wear it when I'm doing my business things? Doesn't make me
Exactly.
less professional. It just makes me comfortable. I'm wearing what I want to wear." And I think that's a big learning as well, especially coming from corporate. And I'm sure you find this, Jessica, is that you don't have to be the cookie cutter version of what you wear in corporate, or you don't have to be the cookie cutter version of what you believe professionalism is. Because at the end of the day, again, being yourself, putting amazing quality work out there, being authentic is worth its weight in gold.
100%. And you got to remember, you became an entrepreneur a portion of it is freedom, right?
Yeah.
And you have the absolute freedom to make it whatever you want. It's your business.
Yeah.
You don't have to align it to what you think it should be. Like, you get to design it. You get to determine how you show up, what you look like, what you wear, how your tone, your voice, your brand messaging, like this is
everything.
all you.
Exactly.
Right?
And that message in itself will attract the people that you want to work with into your business. When you are yourself, your people will come to you. And the people who aren't your people, they won't, and that's cool. that's what's amazing about the whole idea of content, client attraction, and in a sense like detraction, is that word? Client detraction as well. You've got your people coming to you and the people who aren't not in your circle, and that's what's really, really special about that, being your true authentic self. So yeah, we've taken a bit of a side route to my biggest learning, but that forms part of it.
Awesome. Now let's talk about your services and your offerings. What do you have available?
So like I said earlier on, I've got those two branches. On one side, we have the operations, the strategy, the systems that I support my clients with. And that can be through VIP days where we literally set up systems in your business over the course of one single day. And that is very like me nerding out and just doing the implementation during the day, but I love those and they're so transformative. And you kind of get like those instant results. I have my OBM retainers where I work long-term with clients, supporting their operational goals, their team, helping them achieve their vision, their goals. So that's on kind of like my my doing side. And then on the education side, I have my CEO support method course, which is designed for VAs and OBMs. And it really gives them the opportunity to learn all of the skills through a hybrid group content program. So we have group calls. There's also like 11 modules of jam-packed goodies, spreadsheets, video modules for them to digest. And I also have my mentoring on the education side as well. I'm also have several free resources for people to kind of check out, which I have on my Instagram and on my website. So there's pretty much a little, there's something for everyone, which just because, again, I've unlocked this side of me who loves the coaching and the mentoring. And that's really what the education part of my business has been able to facilitate.
Ugh. And I girl crush over your website and your social media. Like, for the longest time, I was like, oh my God. Well, because we come from project management world and the operations and like all that type of stuff, I was just like, oh, this girl is everything. So definitely check her out. She has an amazing website, lots of great good stuff on her social media where she like shares a lot of advice and tips and whatnot. So she is someone to follow for sure.
Thank you. And that can be on Instagram, definitely where I hang out the most, like you just said, Jessica. And that's on @EllieOBM. So pretty easy, ELLIEOBM. And then my website is just my name, ellierogers.com. And like you said, there's lots of free goodies and resources on the website. And it is kind of my creative outlet. So I did design the website myself just because I was, definitely when I'm done with the operation stuff, like I jam to the creative part as well. Multi-passionate, what can I say?
Great job. Great job on the website.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ellie, for taking the time today to share your story, but for also giving us such great advice on how we can create a solid foundation for our businesses. Loving the operations side myself. I truly enjoyed chatting with you today, and I know that those listening are going to have so many takeaways that they can now implement in their business and start looking at their systems in place and start, getting organized so that they can take it to the next level.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing, and thank you for having me.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to www.projectloveco.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another unplugged conversation.